In 1970, after working at the Naval Research Lab over 20 years, my husband Bob was offered a position as scientific officer based in London, visiting labs, assessing the value of their work to naval research, and writing reports on that work for publication. It was to be for 1 year. In Bob's eyes, this was an ideal job, and he was eager to go. Not that living in England wasn't appealing to me, it was. But in Maryland, we lived in an older 3-story home with a garden that needed tending. Our children were going to different colleges. Betty was starting grad school at the University of Maryland College Park, and Eric would be a junior at Catholic University in Washington, D.C. They were also commuters, and each had a car, an old car. They both had part-time jobs, and we had a dog. Although my mother's protective instincts were strong, after much thought and prayer, I put my worries aside and embraced the adventure. So off we went to merry old England. Bob and I rented a flat on Brompton Road, between Harrods and the Victoria and Albert Museum. The owner was doing something or other in South Africa for several years. Time passed swiftly, and Bob did get to visit the labs. He did write his reports, and we did get to visit most of the sites on our must-see list. But Christmas proved to be a most stressful time. We had always been together with the children during the holidays, and we were missing them. To lift our spirits a few days before Christmas, we set forth to purchase a tree. We decided on a tree typical of Londoners that live in small flats or apartments. The tree we bought still had its roots attached. It was about 3 feet tall, and it was scrawny. We purchased it near a tube stop and took it home on the bus and lovingly decorated it. We certainly have had bigger and more beautiful trees, but this Charlie Brown tree was special. The tree cost 48 cents. Christmas Eve arrived and was especially trying, so we decided to go to Trafalgar Square, where they had the National Christmas Tree with a nativity scene. After we walked around a bit and viewed the huge creche, someone began to sing Silent Night. In a moment, we were all singing, making eye contact and smiling. Then a very rare thing happened that Christmas Eve in London in 1970. It started to snow. Christmas morning dawned bright and clear. We chose to walk to Mass that morning, although it was bitterly cold and quite a distance. The beautiful service calmed us and helped us to put things into proper perspective. Still, we could hardly wait for time to pass so we could call Betty and Eric. There is a 5-hour time differential between London and Maryland. Finally, at noon, London time, and now 7 a.m. in Maryland, we made the anticipated call. It was so good to hear their voices. It was music to our ears. Yes, Mom and Dad, they said, things are going fine. Yes, they were well, they assured us. No, the house hadn't burned down. No, the basement hadn't flooded. No, neither car had broken down. Yes, their grades were still good. And yes, Lady, our dog, was well too. After the call, I was so elated, I almost forgot a very important thing. I still had a cake to bake. It was December 25th, our Lord's birthday, and we had much to be thankful for.